Hi there. Today we're going to review our independent practice, numbers 1 through 8, page 559. This is in chapter 7, lesson 3 on the triangles. Uh, just a quick reminder, be sure that after you watch this video, you're going to ask the teacher if you have any questions. Okay, it's really important that if you didn't understand something, please make sure you ask. All right, draw a triangle that satisfies each set of conditions, then classify the triangle. It says a triangle with 3 acute angles and 3 congruent sides. Um, this is actually going to be called an acute equilateral triangle because classifying it by angles, it's acute. And then when it says 3 congruent sides, that means that 3 of the sides have to be equal. So that's going to be an equilateral triangle because by definition, equilateral triangle has 3 equal sides. So this is an example of what it looks like. Really important, if you notice, each angle is acute. And then I have these tick marks over here. And these tick marks basically mean that you're telling people that they're all equal in sides without actually saying, hey, this is 5 meters, 5 meters, and 5 meters, for example. So this is how you tell people that they're all equal in measurement without actually giving them measurements. Number 2 is a triangle with one right angle and no congruent sides. So we have one right angle, so that is classified by its angles, so that's why it's called a right. And no congruent sides, meaning none of them are equal, that's called scalene. So here's an example of what one might look like. You could have drawn it, something like this, just as long as there is shown that there is a right angle and none of the sides are equal. Classify the marked triangle by its angles and by its sides. So here again, this is called an acute equilateral because if you look at the angles, they're all less than 90 degrees. And then here, the fun thing is they showed you that each side was equal using these little tick marks. So that is why this one's acute, all less than 90, equilateral, because all the sides were equal. Here we have our cat's ears. It's kind of cute though, but um, again, if you take a look at this right here, all the angles right here are acute, which is less than 90. And again, they showed you 3 tick marks, which means 3 of the sides are the same. So that's why they called it equilateral. Again, there's a name by its angles, and then there's a name by its sides. So each one has a kind of like a first name and a last name. Here's number 5. This one's called an obtuse isosceles for 2 reasons. Obtuse because if you look here, this angle is more than 90 degrees. And isosceles, which means 2 equal sides, because 2 of the sides are equal. So they have the 2 tick marks here, and the third one doesn't have it at all. So obtuse again, first name by its angles, second name by its sides. So this is obtuse isosceles. Okay, so here we have to find the value of x. A couple things we have to remember. The sum of all angles in a triangle equals 180 degrees. Okay, that's really important because that's just basically a fact for the angles in a triangle. And if you want, write that down. What you have to do is you have to create and solve an equation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing that with number 6. All right, so we know we have 3 angles right here. One of them is 90 degrees, which is great, plus x plus 30, and that's supposed to equal 180 degrees. And if you remember from our last unit, actually not our last unit, yeah, chapter 5, you can combine like terms. So on this left side, I can actually combine my 90 plus my 130 because they're 2 numbers and I can add them together. So 90 plus 130 is 120. So I'm left with 120 plus x equals 180. Okay, and by solving, I can subtract 120 on both sides. Okay, 120 minus 120 cancels to 0, and so I'm left with x equaling 60. So the missing angle is 60 degrees. All right, here's my next one. Okay, so here we have our 33 plus our x plus 29, and if you add them up, it's supposed to equal 180 degrees. Again, we can combine our like terms, so 33 can be combined with 29 because they are numbers. You can't add the x with the numbers because that's a variable. These are numbers, so the numbers go together. So that's going to be 62 plus x, and that equals 180 degrees. All right, so now I'm just going to solve this using subtraction property of equality. Subtract 62 on both sides of the equation. 62 minus 62 cancels to 0. So x is now going to equal 118 degrees. So that's our missing angle. All right, and here's our last one. Um, Again, we're going to add up all of our angles and set it equal to 180. So we've got a 21, we've got a 132, we've got an x, and that's going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, again, I can combine my numbers, not my letters with my numbers, just my numbers and numbers. So 21 plus 132, that equals 153, plus x, that equals 180 degrees. And now I'm going to solve by subtracting 153 on both sides of the equation. And I'm left with x equaling 27 degrees. Okay? Again, oh, Mrs. Mendoza forgot our degree symbol. All right, so that's how you solve it. You add up all the numbers and set it equal to 180, and then you solve like a regular equation. Okay, so I hope that video was helpful. Make sure that you ask any questions to the teacher, okay? Because you're going to have an assessment on it, and I want you to be prepared. All right, bye-bye.